Okay, hello everybody. My presentation will be on the development of smell. So, with the development of smell, smell is one of our least important senses. It's one of those that we don't really think about a lot in regards to how we process information from the environment related to smell. However, newborns typically rely on this sense more than uh, we do at any later time in life. The reason why newborns rely on this sense more is really due to just because the other senses have not fully developed as compared to smell when newborns are born. For example, um, I think smell is for newborns is usually fully developed by 28 weeks, while the other senses require a little bit more time even after being born. The development occurs during the embryonic period after 5 weeks from fertilization. So here in this picture, if you can see, have an uh embryonic phase right here, which is 3 to 8 weeks. This is around the area when newborns or infants begin to develop that sense of smell. At 7 weeks, what we see is a nasal pit appears in the primitive phase, just right here in this area, and gradually deepening and splitting to form two nostrils by 7 weeks. By 11 weeks, the olfactory epithelia is present and very mature. And I'll go into a little bit more detail afterwards with what olfactory epithelia means. Um, so even though the olfactory system develops early on, our sense of smell is influenced by experience, therefore making it plasticity. So how we process smell. So I'm going to show a quick clip, not the entire video, just to kind of show um, uh, the area of smell. Okay. So, so as the video mentioned, odor travels through the nasal cavity to the olfactory epithelia cells. So if we look here, here we have that nasal cavity, and here we have the olfactory nerves, also known as the epithelia cells. This is where information from the environment is taken in by these cells. This chemical information is then converted into electrical signals, and it travels up the axon into the olfactory bulb, right? So chemical information comes in through here. That information is then converted to electrical signals, and it travels up through here to the olfactory bulb in this area. From there, the information integrates from all the receptors and then sends the information along down the axon to several areas in the primary olfactory cortex. Um, Might be difficult to see this picture here that I have, but to show you where the primary olfactory cortex is, it's right in here, this area, and then the secondary olfactory cortex is in this area. Right, so how is smell and taste related? Right, so when we go out to eat somewhere and we eat something, let's say like a pizza, how is it that when we take a bite of that pizza, we're able also to connect the smell that we are um, uh, processing into our brain and associating that with the pizza? So in the brain, the temporal lobe information integrates from smell and taste, allowing us to recognize and associate smell and taste. And here we just have a little uh, brief example just of what I mentioned earlier, how smell is processed for odors as well. We also here have taste on how taste is processed. And if we look over here in this bigger area, you can see that all this information relays into here in this area. And that's how we were able to associate, what we are tasting and the smell of that. Mm. So the ability to smell while in the womb. So odors and flavors that mothers are exposed to are also experienced by their fetus. Right. We talk a lot about during development how it's crucial for, mom to be aware wherever they're exposed to, um, just because it could be also impactful for the baby during development. And I thought that was unique because uh, I feel like I didn't really know about how smell can also impact the baby, but it's also really crucial. And some of the ways that a baby may feel impacted is through overstimulation. It can be through perfume, truck exhaust, and food. And here's something I mentioned earlier as the ability to smell begins around 28 weeks of gestation period. So post-delivery, um, newborns respond to the smell of their own amniotic fluid, prefer to nurse on a breast moistened with this fluid. Research also shows that unwashed babies are more successful than washed babies at bringing their hand to their mouth in the first hour after, right? So, previously, like in the older generation or back in the day, um, as soon as a newborn was born, they would immediately wash them and return them to the parent. A lot of research has come around and it shows that it's more successful for the baby to immediately be given to the mom. So they develop that attachment, that connection immediately because of that smell of the amniotic fluid. And this, of course, allows for the newborn to be able to work towards bringing their hand towards their mouth in the first hour after birth, which is good for self-calming. Um, so what other areas of the brain are involved? So we have the entorhinal cortex, which is responsible for learning and remembering odors and their association. We also have the amygdala, which uses olfactory input to control feeding. Um, stem centers to get information from the primary olfactory cortex to control motor reactions, like facial expressions, suckings, and salivation. The orbital frontal cortex odors are discriminated in this area. Uh, So the thalamus transmits some of the smell information into the orbital frontal cortex, where it can be then integrated with taste information as well. The impact of smell. So adults demonstrate a considerable amount of degeneration as early as mid-childhood of olfactory epithelia cells when compared to newborns. This often results due to allergies, colds, infections, smoking, and exposure to toxins or pollutants. Some of the disorders or diseases that exist related to smell being impacted is congenital insomnia. It's a rare condition, right? But that are born with it are is often due to an abnormal development of the olfactory system or an inherited genetic disorder. We also have hyposemia, which is reduced ability to detect odors, parosmia, which is change in the normal perception of odors, and phantosmia is a sensation of an odor that is not present. So some people change their eating habits when smell is impaired. So some people may eat less, while others may eat more. When food becomes less enjoyable, it can result in like, right, adding too much salt to improve this taste of the whatever we are eating. Right. This, of course, can lead to developmental problems such as high blood pressure and or kidney disease. And right, this just kind of connects the importance of like taste and smell, right? And how they go hand in hand. And it's important that they're consistent with each other, just to avoid other medical problems that can occur. Problems with chemical senses may also be a sign that there are other serious health concerns. It can be also be an early sign of Parkinson's disease or multiple sclerosis. So, how do we evaluate the sense of smell? One of the most common odor identification tests that exist is the University of Pennsylvania Smell Identification Test. So what this is, it requires uh, the subject is asked to release using a pencil tip a microencapsulated odor located on the page of a test booklet and to indicate its smell by responding to four alternatives. This subject smell ability is divided into four categories of dysfunction: insomnia and mild, moderate, or severe microsmia, and one category of the function. So how do we remediate our smell? So when our sense of smell is impacted, there's a few approaches to working towards improvement. One way is through the smell retraining therapy, which we sniff a variety of odors, such as lemons, oranges, eucalyptus. There are also about 6 to 10 different types of senses, such as eucalyptus, rosemary, cinnamon, pine, peppermint, or cloves. These materials can the materials that we usually often have at home, or you can also buy a smell retraining kit online. These kits can be found online with no prescription required. And in one study, patients saw up to 30 to 40% improvement after using a small training kit. So it just shows that it does have some ability to help people who may be impacted to their smell, be able to kind of regain smell in those areas. When you are doing this retraining therapy kit, it's important that we recall the moments when we have smelled this before in order to trigger a particle recognition. Right. So really what that means is just when we are taking in the smell, it's important that we try to apply it to like a previous experience or something that we are able to associate that. That way it becomes easier to recognize. This helps on rebuilding connection between the nose and brain and also identifying types of smell. So what are researchers doing? So a lot of researchers, what they're working on is prevention of aging on smell and taste. Um, a lot of, unfortunately, adults, typically over the age of 60, begin to be impacted by smell as well. This can be due to, again, as an environment, medication, or just uh, of aging. Researchers are also working on developing new diagnostic testing for taste and smell disorders, and also understanding the effects of the environment, which is gasoline fumes, increase in higher temp and humidity, and other chemicals. Here's my bibliography information. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.